Good morning. Today I'll be starting off with anti-leprotic drugs. Anti-leprotic drugs. Now I'll just give you a brief introduction about what is leprosy. Now leprosy is the other name for Hansen's disease. Leprosy is the other name for Hansen's disease, and it is caused by Mycobacterium leprae. Mycobacterium leprae. Now this disease is a chronic granulomatous disease or infection which will be affecting the skin, mucous membranes as well as the nerves. Alright, it is affecting the skin, mucous membranes and the nerves. Now, this anti-leprotic drug regimens or the treatment process, it will be given based on the classification. So I will just give you a few just a small idea about the classification of leprosy. How do they classify this leprosy? Now, usually there are two polar types of leprosy. Okay, one is lepromatous and the other one is tuberculoid. Lepromatous and tuberculoid. Now this tuberculoid has got four intermediate divisions. Okay, the first one is borderline, then we have is borderline lepromatous, which is abbreviated as BL. Borderline is just BB, borderline lepromatous is BL. Then we have is borderline tuberculoid, BT. Then we have is indeterminate, it is I. Alright, now there is one more classification which is usually followed in United States, and it has got 5 classifications in that, and it is called as a Ridley-Joplin classification. Ridley-Joplin classification, and it denotes the disease that ranges from early localized. Now indeterminate is localized form and it is the early stage, and when it progresses generally or reaches everywhere, which we call it as the stage where lepromatous, LL. Okay, so based on that, this Ridley-Joplin classification, they have 5 classification. Okay, so one is indeterminate, second one is tuberculoid, third one is borderline tuberculoid, fourth one is mid-borderline, and then we have borderline lepromatous, and the last one is lepromatous. So if you see, there is 5 classification or 5 categories when it comes to Ridley-Joplin classification. Alright, however, whatever classification it is done, basically they see whether it is based on this particular classification, they go for categorizing the particular medication. Alright, now I just want to brief you about important thing. Okay, like I said, there are 2 polar types. One is lepromatous and one is tuberculoid, and I just want you to know the difference between lepromatous and tuberculoid leprosy. Alright, now in tuberculoid leprosy, okay, we can find that it will be anesthetized patch. Patches will be there without any sensation. Okay, and anesthetized patch. Whereas in lepromatous leprosy, the skin and the mucous membrane will be diffused and it will be infiltrated, and there will be presence of nodules. So diffuse skin and mucous membrane, infiltration and nodules will be present. Now if you see about the immunity, cell-mediated immunity, CMI, it will be normal in case of tuberculoid, but when it comes to lepromatous, it is absent. Now, lepromin test, that is a test to see whether a patient is having leprosy or not. So lepromin test, if you see in tuberculoid leprosy, it will be positive. In lepromatous, it will be negative. And in case of tuberculoid, the bacilli will be rarely found in biopsies. In lepromatous, skin and mucous membrane lesions will be teeming with bacilli. Tuberculoid leprosy, if you see, there will be prolonged remissions with periodic exacerbations. In lepromatous, it will slowly progress to anesthesia of distal parts, atrophy, ulceration, absorption of digits can be noticed in lepromatous. Okay, so this is usually the difference between the two polar types, lepromatous and tuberculoid. Now for operational purpose, okay, this is generally the classified. Now for operational purpose, the leprosy has been divided into paucibacillary leprosy, in short it is called as PBL, and multibacillary leprosy, MBL. Paucibacillary leprosy and multibacillary leprosy. Now if you see the difference, the paucibacillary leprosy is said to be non-infectious. Multibacillary leprosy is said to be infectious. And this paucibacillary leprosy, it will include tuberculoid, borderline tuberculoid and indeterminate. Whereas in multibacillary leprosy, it will include lepromatous, borderline lepromatous and just borderline. Okay, so this is the way it has been classified, this leprosy, and these are the differences, main differences between the two categories of leprosy. Now moving over to the classification of medications. Now usually there are four important classifications of anti-leprotic drugs. The first one is sulfone. Okay, sulfone. In that we have the drug Dapsone, which I'll be dealing with it in today's class. Dapsone. The second category is phenazine derivative. Phenazine derivative, where we have clofazimine. Clofazimine. The third one is anti-tubercular drugs. Anti-tubercular drugs like rifampin and ethionamide. Rifampin and ethionamide. And other antibiotics. In other antibiotics, they have included fluoroquinolones, macrolides, depending upon its action. So other antibiotics, we have ofloxacin, minocycline and clarithromycin. Ofloxacin, minocycline and clarithromycin. Ciprofloxacin is not used in this category of antibiotics for anti-leprotic drugs. Okay, so today now I'm going to start off with Dapsone. Dapsone. So it is a sulfone. It belongs to the group of sulfone, which comes under the first classification. So it is diamino diphenyl sulfone, DDS. Diamino diphenyl sulfone. It is said to be simplest, cheapest, oldest, most active and most commonly used member of the particular class. Alright, these are certain important advantages of this Dapsone. Now moving over to its mechanism of action, okay, or activity and mechanism, however you want, you can categorize. Now, Dapsone is chemically related to sulfonamides. Okay, it is chemically related to the sulfonamides, and it has the same mechanism of action. Okay, same mechanism of action as that of sulfonamides. That is, it will be inhibiting PABA, para-amino-benzoic acid, incorporation into folic acid. Okay, it's ingredient towards the folic acid, it will be stopping it. Okay, and its antibacterial action is antagonized by PABA. Okay, so the antibacterial action will be antagonized. So what it will be doing is, it will not allow this PABA to get incorporated into the folic acid. And when we use it at low concentration, it is leprostatic. Leprostatic at low concentration. and at higher concentration it will arrest the growth of many other bacteria sensitive to sulfonamides. It will be arresting the growth of other bacteria which are sensitive to sulfonamides. Okay, but its specific affinity towards or being served as an anti-leprotic or towards the special affinity towards Mycobacterium leprae due to the difference in affinity of the folate synthase. Okay, but since this dapsone holds a lot of toxic effects, they have restricted its use. And also they have found, or they have added this under the multi-drug therapy or treatment, okay, of leprosy. And it may be primary. Primary means in case of untreated patients, that is, they have acquired infection from a patient harboring resistant bacilli. Or secondary, which develops during the therapy in an individual patient with a single drug. Okay, so this resistance has been caused when we go for using this dapsone. Okay, so because of this resistance, which can be primary or which can be secondary. Primary means when it is being used in an untreated patient, whereas secondary, once it has been started, that too in a single or in a monotherapy manner, in such kind of cases the resistance would have developed. Alright, so because of this particular reason, they have necessitated or they have felt that it has to be added under multi-drug therapy. Alright, now the peak serum concentration of dapsone should be 100 mg per day dose. Okay, and if and it exceeds your minimum inhibitory concentration, that is MIC, minimum inhibitory concentration, for Mycobacterium leprae by nearly 500 times, and it continues to be active against low to moderately resistant bacilli. Now pharmacokinetics. Dapsone, after taken orally, it is completely absorbed. It is widely distributed in the body. It penetrates, it is widely distributed, but its CSF penetration is very poor. 70% of it is plasma protein bound, but more importantly, it gets concentrated in the skin, especially lepromatous skin, then muscle, liver and kidney. These are the areas where the drugs get concentrated. And this dapsone is acetylated as well as glucuronide and sulfate conjugated in liver, and metabolites are excreted in bile and reabsorbed from intestine, so that ultimate excretion occurs mostly in urine. The plasma half-life of dapsone is variable, though often it is more than 24 hours. The drug is cumulative due to retention in tissues and intrahepatic circulation, and elimination takes 1 to 2 weeks longer or even longer. And dapsone, it is available under the dosage of 25, 50, 100 milligrams tablet. Okay, so this is about pharmacokinetics as well as its availability of this particular medicine in the market. Now adverse effects. Generally it is tolerated at the doses 100 mg per day or less. The commonly noticed problem is mild hemolytic anemia and its dose related toxicity, and it will be reflecting the oxidizing property of the drug. And patients with glucose 6 pyruvate dehydrogenase deficiency, they are more susceptible ones, and doses more than 50 milligrams per day may produce hemolysis in them. So we should be extra careful when we come to know that the patient is suffering from glucose 6 pyruvate dehydrogenase deficiency. In such kind of cases, you should be very careful. It's always best to exclude them from this particular treatment. Gastric intolerance can be noticed in the patient. So your patient will start complaining of nausea, There will be anorexia. Okay, so this you can notice it in the beginning stages, but later stage it will decrease. The other side effects are methemoglobinemia, headache, paresthesias, mental symptoms, and drug fever. Now, cutaneous reactions can also be noticed, and it will include allergic rashes. Then you can find fixed um, drug eruptions, then hypermelanosis, phototoxicity, and very rarely exfoliated dermatitis. Hepatitis and agranulocytosis, they are the rare complications we can notice. And apart from this, Lepre reaction and sulfone syndrome can be noticed. Lepre reaction and sulfone syndrome. Now, what do we know about Lepre reaction? Now, Lepre reaction means it will be occurring in lepromatous. That means once it has, disease has extended everywhere, you can find that it occurs in lepromatous, and it is usually with the institution of chemotherapy and or intermittent infection. It is a Jarisch-Herxheimer type of reaction due to the release of antigens from the killed bacilli. When the antigens are released from the killed bacilli, that time this particular reaction will be triggered. It can be mild, severe, of life-threatening disorder. And if you see the features of Lepre reaction, it is abrupt onset. Existing lesions will get enlarged. It becomes red, swollen, painful, and several new lesions may also appear. Malaise, fever, and other constitutional symptoms generally accompany and may be marked. So this is about Lepre reaction. Moving over to sulfone syndrome. Sulfone syndrome is a reaction that occurs or that develops within 4 to 6 weeks after dapsone treatment. After this dapsone treatment, it takes 4 to 6 weeks for this particular reaction to start. Now, symptoms will be, or the signs will be, fever, malaise, lymph node enlargement, desquamation of skin, jaundice, and anemia. And it can be seen generally in malnourished persons. Okay, so in malnourished people you can notice this sulfone syndrome. Okay, so lepromatous, usually you can notice it in, Lepre reaction you can find it in lepromatous patients. Okay, and it can be mild, severe, or even life-threatening, and basically it is caused due to the antigens which are released from the killed bacilli. And if you see the features, it is abrupt onset. Okay, there will be, the existing lesions will start getting enlarged, it become red, swollen, painful, and new lesions may appear. Malaise will be there, fever will be there, and other constitutional symptoms generally accompany and may be marked. Whereas the sulfone syndrome will start only after 4 to 6 weeks once the dapsone treatment has been started, and patient will start complaining of fever, they feel tired or excessive malaise will be there, lymph node enlargement can be noticed, desquamation of skin, and jaundice and anemia can also be noticed. An important feature to be noted is it can be found or seen in malnourished person. Now, what do we do when Lepre reactions or sulfone syndrome starts? Temporary discontinuation of dapsone treatment should be done, and it can be done only in very severe cases. And clofazimine 200 mg daily is highly effective in controlling the reaction, except the severe most form, clofazimine. Okay, clofazimine 200 mg daily if you administer, you can control this, but not the severe cases, probably mainly because of its anti-inflammatory property. And other drugs used for these two areas are analgesics, antipyretics, antibiotics, etc. based on their need. And chloroquine and thalidomide, they also suppress the Lepre reaction. They will be suppressing the lepra reaction. Corticosteroids like prednisolone 40 to 60 milligrams per day till the reaction is controlled. Then it will be tapered, or it will be gradually brought, or dose will be lowered, which we call it as tapering. Okay, so it will be gradually tapered within over 8 to 12 weeks, and this should be used only in very severe cases. So the use of corticosteroids also, it has to be done in very severe cases only. All right. And one thing we should remember, that corticosteroids we can't stop immediately. It has to be slowly tapered. That's why the word tapering has come. It has to be tapered, and it has to be gradually reduced little by little, and observe the patient. And as I said, like when we administer corticosteroids, we need to be extra careful that patients are protected from developing any kind of infection. Alright, so here the patient will be protected also at the same time. Alright, so with this I have completed Dapsone. Okay, so I hope you understood the class and enjoyed the class. So take care and stay safe. Bye bye.